What's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. As always, I have another Dragonmaid deck profile for you guys. I hope you guys aren't bored. I know I've been doing a lot of Dragonmaid videos only recently. I gotta say, like, I've just been like super happy with playing this deck, and I love sharing any updates or like any new ideas I might have, or even um, even when I like watch other Dragonmaid deck profiles online, I just love to take what I like from certain deck profiles and just like incorporate them in my deck, and make it my own, but at the same time take inspiration from very like good players, very knowledgeable players about the deck. I just love that. I love that, like, there's a good amount of Dragonmaid players that have different takes on the deck, and I really enjoy that. So this time around, this is a 42 card variant. Okay, so it's my deck has lost some weight. It's been on the treadmill. This is more of a control variant. It's not like super pure. But maybe I feel like purists would probably lean towards this version of the deck because it's more like hand trap heavy, and then we play Tiding at 3. Little spoiler, because that card's just like, it's ridiculous. And I gotta say, I really love this version of the deck as well as the 60 card version. So I like both. They both have like their weaknesses and their strengths, respectively, because this can rely more on like hand traps and like traps like Tiding as backup, and I feel like this deck also does a better job of playing through Nibiru, which is really cool. So we'll get right into it. Let's start off with the main deck as always. So we're still running the 3 Chamber Dragonmaid and the 3 Parlor. Okay, so these cards I feel like should always be at 3. I've seen very, very few deck profiles play 2 copies of Chamber. I don't know why, because this card searches you for Tiding, it searches you for Hospitality, and it searches you for Changeover. 3 of your most powerful, like the most powerful cards in your deck. Tiding is like insane. It's the best like support we've gotten recently, and this card searches that, so it's super insane. Like, I don't know, I mean, you do you, it's your deck profile, but I'm just saying, like, playing this at most deck profiles play this at 3, but I've seen few that play 2, and it just, like, I don't know, boggles my mind kind of. But most Dragonmaid players will tell you 3 and 3 is mandatory. These cards are super good because they do enough on their own as standalone cards. They require no other cards in your hand to actually do stuff. Chamber, what I like is that both of these cards are 1-card Heretic Seals, and Heretic Seal is, as I've always mentioned before, an insanely good card. It provides disruption and follow-up. It just gets your engine going. Like, even when you don't draw any Dragonmaids, but you have a way to make Heretic Seal, it gets your Dragonmaid engine going, which is fantastic. But these cards are 1-card Heretic Seals, so they allow you to set up disruption and extend even further. What I like about Parlor is that Parlor can be an out. Say like you're under, if you're under the Buster Lock and you can't special summon from the extra deck, at least Parlor can get you like a big body to like beat over something, you know what I mean? So that way, like, you could still bounce this back to recover as a follow-up play, and then have Parlor to attack. I mean, Lorepar to attack, which is the bigger version of Parlor. And then what I like about Chamber is that Chamber can also get rid of problematic cards by just searching you Tiding, and you could just set the Tiding and then bounce back whatever floodgate they're trying to use. Maybe during the end phase, you could even like bounce back the Buster or whatever monsters like equipped, whatever the Destruction Sword is equipped to. So it's really good. I really love Chamber and Parlor. I feel like I ramble on too much about these cards, but they're just like, it's so worth it. So we're playing one kitchen, and this is pretty standard at this point, just one nurse. One kitchen because kitchen doesn't do enough on her own, but I felt like I still needed just one more Dragon Maid in the deck. So I still needed like an additional Dragon Maid to normal summon, and kitchen does provide you with setup, graveyard setup. So if you open like kitchen and you have Ward Legacy, Guard Dragon, or Hospitality, it's really nice. And like even if you have Tidying, it's like even if you open this and Tidying, and like you're just able to if you have like any other extender, which I'll show you like later on in the deck, you're able to at least like set up a good amount of disruption and have a great backup play because you've set up your graveyard with kitchen. Kitchen is also good because she does the same thing, same theory as like Parlor with, you know, sending a bigger Dragon Maid to tag out and then attack over something, which is nice. So I like kitchen at 1. Nurse is just like super nice because if you draw nurse, it sucks if you draw her by herself, but if you draw her like say with World Legacy Guard Dragon, she can still help you like get into your LP play, and then it's just super good when you summon her from with Hieratic Seal. Just so that she allows you to also like play through Nibiru. Like say like you get Nibiru'd and then your Hieratic Seal gets like tributed. You can activate Hieratic Seal's effect and then summon this and then summon another Dragon Maid that you had set up in the graveyard and then just go into another Hieratic Seal, which is super dope. So that's it for the small Dragon Maids. Put that to the side. And then for the last of the Dragon Maid monsters, we play one Ernest and one Lorpar. So Ernest, you know, Lorpar, I only played Lorpar in the 60 card variant because you're playing 60 cards with so many other like dragon monsters, so many other engines, that Ernest doesn't become like worth it to run even at 1, because if you draw Ernest, you know, by itself in a 60 card Dragon Maid combo deck, it's like there's a big chance that this is going to be a dead card. Lorpar, I played in the 60 card variant because using Hospitality, you could easily dump this if you summon back Parlor with Hospitality. If you summon Parlor with Hospitality, you could send this. We only play one nurse, so it wouldn't come up in the 60 card version. But this isn't about the 60 card version. This is about the control variant. And Ernest is actually really decent because you want another big Dragon Maid for nurse to tag out into, because that allows you to pop multiple cards with house. And then if you draw this with like your smaller Dragon Maids, you could obviously play on your opponent's turn. Like during your end phase, you could just discard this and then summon like Chamber or summon like Parlor if you draw on this with Parlor or Chamber. And then that allows you to get your board set up or get your engine going before your turn even begins, which is really nice. But I think 1 is enough because like at 3, in my opinion, and this version of the deck is just not necessary. If you draw multiples, it sucks, and like it's not. I'm not relying on Ernest's effect to get my engine going. It's just nice to have a big Dragon Maid to tag out into, and it has pretty good like utility. And then for our other starters, you play 3 black metal, and then I'm just gonna put this here. It's the darkness metal. So the reason that this is such a good starter for this version of the deck for Dragon Maids is because, say, it is a normal summon, but if you draw it with, like, say, a Chamber, for example, if you draw with a Chamber, you can just go normal summon, right? Normal summon. You go into your Striker Dragon. When this gets sent to the graveyard, you're going to search your Darkness Metal, right? And then that Striker Dragon that you have on the field, you could banish it, summon this. This is in your hand. Effect, summon Chamber, and then Chamber can search you Tidying. Chamber can search you the changeover. So you have the option of going Hieratic Seal plus Tidying, or if you're going second, maybe you want to get a big body on board to start attacking over things, you could just search the Dragon Maid changeover, and then now you have a high level and you have a low level. So it's really good to draw this with like Parlor or with Chamber. because just because you drew 2 normal summons, it doesn't matter. Because you have access to this card, you have access to Darkness Metal, and because you have Darkness Metal, you're able to tutor this out from your hand, which is super nice. And that's why, and also, say like you draw this alone. If you draw this alone and like you have hand traps and like no other extenders, you can just normal summon this, go into Striker Dragon, search for this, banish the Striker Dragon, summon this back from the graveyard, and then go into your Hieratic Seal, and that way you're able to, you know, disrupt your opponent and get your Dragonmaid engine going, because once it's tributed, you're just going to search, you're going to summon Parlor or Chamber from the deck. So that's why it's important that you play the Black Metal and the Darkness Metal. For our other extenders, we have 3 Nocto Vision, and then 1 white and 1 black dragon. This was at 2 in the 60 card variant. We played at 3 here because this card is any card that allow you to get into Hieratic Seal easier, you want to max out on. So this is one of those cards where you're just able to normal summon like any Dragonmaid or Black Metal, and then go into Striker Dragon, and then you're able to just summon this. And you know, if you opened up Parlor, you could send like literally anything you want. You can actually, if you opened up Parlor, you could send. What I like to do is send Tidying, because if you open up Parlor and you want to go into Hieratic Seal, then you want to have a nice follow up with Tidying. Or you could also, with Parlor, you can send Changeover if your hand is like nuts. You could send Lore Par, so that way you have something to tag out into. Once your Hieratic Seal is tributed, you could summon Nurse. Nurse summons Parlor. But you could even do that on your following turn, which is insane. But if you open this up in Chamber, with Chamber, you could search Tidying, and then go into Striker Dragon, summon this, go into Hieratic Seal. What I love about this card, it doesn't just act as an extender, it replaces itself, so you get the draw. The draw can be relevant, like if it's a hand trap, obviously it's like super relevant and super nice. It could also be, like even if you draw like another Dragonmaid that you could use to follow up next turn, it's really good. The fact that you just get that free advantage is super nice. And then, you know, you're going to link into Hieratic Seal using this card. And then Hieratic Seal plus Tidying, it's really strong, and it's definitely a board that people underestimate, but it's not like what it looks like in the beginning. It's how it starts to look on your opponent's turn. Like when they start to, you bounce a card with Hieratic Seal, your opponent's like, okay, so I could play through that. Okay, activate Hieratic Seal, summon my Dragonmaid from the deck, get more advantage, and then you have another bounce with Tidying, bounce your Dragonmaid back, and then you could tag out. It's just like, it's super insane. You just build so much advantage because you play like these really good extenders. Then Black Dragon, White Dragon, it's very powerful because you play Chaos Space, and these cards just replace themselves with Chaos Space. You get that +1, and they help you to get to LP, Pisty, and just Link Climb, because we do play like other links. We use our extra deck as a big toolbox to be able to like get over boards. We play Unicorn, Access Code Talker, spin cards back, stuff like that. So these cards just help us get into those cards and help us push and end the game quicker. What I like about this deck is that this deck can grind, like really grind. I mean, like your opponent thinks like they'll have game 100% because they have an established board, but this deck can outgrind so many decks because they can build the same board turn after turn, meaning like you can have like Hieratic Seal Tidying, and then next turn you can have Hieratic Seal Tidying again, and it's very hard for players to like get through that multiple times. And then we play some hand traps. It's really refreshing to be able to play like multiple hand traps, to be able to just like back up your Hieratic Seal, back up your Shao with like stuff with hand traps, so that way your opponent really has a hard time to get through multiple disruptions. And what I'll typically do is they'll try to play around Hieratic Seal, they'll try to play around Shao, because they're cards that they can see, and if they saw me search Tidying, they'll also try to play around Tidying. What's super unexpected, not really unexpected, but like it makes it so difficult is when you reveal like a Veiler and an Ashe, and then you still haven't used your very powerful disruptions. That's what I like to do. I like to save my powerful disruptions until there's something very threatening or like very like like it changes the game state drastically. I typically like to save my Shao or my Heretic Seal, and then just use the smaller disruptions like Ashe and Veiler, and that way it becomes very, very difficult for them to play through those cards that they were initially trying to play around. And then Nibiru is just a very, very good blowout. It's super good. It's just, as everybody knows, it's extremely good against, combo. And then it allows you to simplify the game state enough so that you're able to capitalize with your Dragonmaid cards and start picking apart your opponent's board or what's left of it, and then, reestablish your own board. And then even like if you draw this going first, it doesn't matter, because if you tutor out stuff with Heretic Seal and like bounce it back by tagging it out, you can also like use this during main phase 2 if they summon like more than 5 cards, and then during your turn you're gonna have way more. You're gonna have more than enough resources to be able to take advantage. And then start with our spells. We have our extenders, 3 Chaos Space. We have 3 World Legacy Guard Dragon, and then we have 2 Hospitality. So Chaos Space, it's not really too much explaining. It's just to search for Black and White Dragon. Those are our only 2 targets. But it's really nice to be able to banish and then recycle and then draw 1. And then also drawing this, if you draw this with White Dragon or Black Dragon, it's not it's not bad at all, because you could just discard White Dragon, search for Black Dragon, banish the white, summon the black, and then banish this, recycle, and then you're still able to do that whole like mini loop to be able to get your cards back and still get that advantage in +1. So 3 World Legacy Guard Dragon. At this point, there's really not too much to explain about this card. It's just a super powerful. Super. That's the word of this video. That's the highlighted word. It's just really, really good. It's an awesome extender. It allows you to go into the Almirage LP play, because you're able to go into Almirage with any normal summon and then revive that normal summon back, and then go into LP, move LP, and then tutor out your Dragon Mates from the deck. So you're able to tutor out Dragon Mates from the deck and get your engine going through this with this card or with Heretic Seal. 2 Hospitality, this might seem iffy to some people, but I feel like unless I play like, if I play 3 Kitchen, I'll bump this up to 3. But because I'm playing 1 Kitchen, and because this card is searchable with Chamber, and then even if I need another extender with Parlor, I can just dump Tidying. I could send Tidying. So I feel like there's more than enough Reborn cards, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 Tidying, that's 8. So I feel like that's enough Reborn and enough extenders to play. You could bump this up to 3. It might increase the consistency of the deck, but by a very small percentage, only because we do play like Black Metal, which is another very powerful normal summon. So having multiples of this card isn't too great, but it's nice to have access to another one for the grind game. But again, I'd rather draw this card. That's why we play 3 of this card. I'd rather draw this card just because we're able to move the LP, so we could combo off that way. And then this could also revive like any dragon, as opposed to like Hospitality. Still a very broken card. I just would only play it at 2 because I only played the 1 Kitchen. And then moving on to our 1-ofs, we have 1 Dragonmaid Changeover. It's your fusion spell. It recycles itself. It's very easily accessible with Chamber and Parlor, so I think 1 is fine. And then again with Heretic Seal, once it's tributed, you could just summon Chamber, search for this, summon Parlor, send this. So it's fairly like easy to access this card. 1 is just fine. And then for the little tech, I'm playing Reasoning. I haven't had too much like testing with this card. It's only come up a few times, but what I like about this card is that other than like the the hand traps, which would like not be too ideal to summon. If they call like well, Noctovision would technically be a good target to special summon because it's a high level monster that you could use for Shao, and then also like you could just like link it off, get that draw one. Or this is really good, to summon. This is also very good, super. One thing about reasoning, it's not the end of the world if they call it correctly. So they say 4, which has happened, and then you send this to the grave. If you open a black metal, it doesn't even matter because you're just gonna search darkness metal and revive this. So it's not even relevant it's not too relevant that they actually send this. Obviously, it's way better if they didn't call it correctly and you summon Chamber for free and get that search. But even if they called it wrong and you have a reborn spell like Wordlick Cigar Dragon Hospitality, this acts as a foolish burial. So it's not bad at all. And then you have level 8, level 7, Darkness Metal's level 10, Black Metal's level 1, level 4, level 3. Level 2. So there's just, I feel like this is a decent, it's not broken by any means, but it's a decent tech that you guys can play. I've enjoyed it. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it in. After more testing, I'll determine whether I want to keep it or not, but this could be anything. It's a 42 card deck. You could just cut this out and play 41. And then for the traps, we play Tidying and then Imperm. So we're playing the 3 Ash, 2 Nibiru, 2 Veiler, and then 3 Imperm, so 10 hand traps. It's really nice. And you have the 3 Tidying. You play 3 because you want to open this card up. Going first, for the grind game, you want 3. Multiple uses for this card because during your opponent's turn, you're going to bounce something back. And then during your turn, it acts as a free extender. This card's super broken. Like all Dragonmaid players will tell you how broken this card is and how insanely amazing, like such good support, such amazing. In the 60 card version, you play 1 because you're not like playing enough you're not relying on the Dragonmaid cards as much as you do in this deck. But this deck wants to grind. It wants to outgrind your opponent. Having this and Hieratic Seal is like, it's your ideal board setup. If you have Hieratic Seal plus Shao, that's really good. But again, in this deck, it does a good job playing around and through Nibiru because of Hieratic Seal. Hieratic Seal doesn't take much. It's 2 dragons, make Hieratic Seal, and then set this. And if you don't summon more than 5 times, they're just looking at their hand saying, wow, well, I have a dead Nibiru now. And then even if you summon Hieratic Seal as your 5th summon, which does come up with black metal, it will be your 5th summon, and then they Nibiru the Hieratic Seal, then you could just tutor out anything from the deck and like potentially go into a Shao or a Hieratic Seal through a Nibiru, which is really nice. Alright guys, now for the extra deck, we play 2 Shao and 2 House. This can easily be at 1, and I've talked about why this card can be at 1, because Shao, after it negates, it recycles itself, so it goes back to the extra deck, so you could keep using that same copy of Shao as long as you have House. I don't feel like it's necessary to max out on these cards, because I think by the time you summon the second one, and if you've negated a second time, I feel like you're going to be so far into the game in combination with like your hand traps and Tidying. You're going to be so far ahead of your opponent, you're not going to need a third one. The reason I'm playing 2 is because there are times where your opponent will out this without you getting the negate. So say like they Dark Ruler you and then they send this, they get rid of this, and you have no way to access it. Like then you want the second copy because you're gonna recycle changeover, and you don't have a Shao to be able to push hard enough after they've broken your board. Then it's gonna suck. So, and you have the room in the extra deck, so you could play 2. That's why I'm playing 2, just in case. It doesn't come up too often, but I don't want to beat myself because I didn't play a second copy. But there are ways like to get this back like very easily, and Chamber actually can tag out and bring this back. So, you know, during the battle phase, when you bring this back in attack position, your opponent can't attack over it. Plus, you have an Omni negate, and this is after Dark Ruler. Like, you know, Heretic Seal can tribute it could still tribute itself, and it'll still get the tribute effect even if it was negated. Even if the bounce effect was negated, you could still like tribute it, and then you could still tutor out Chamber from the deck, and then Chamber will get you the search. Then during the battle phase, you could tag into this, so that's pretty nice. So powerful, man. Xiao is like a monster. She's a beautiful monster. And then we play Borreload Furious Dragon. This is another target for like your dark monsters like LP and Pisty. You could like use changeover to fusion summon to this. It's a really good disruption because it could target any face up. Let me see if it's card or sometimes I just like totally forget if it's card or monster. You can target one monster. So yeah, you could target any monster. It could be a face down monster. It could be face up monster. Target one monster you control. And one card your opponent controls. So you have to target a monster. So you could target itself, or you could target like any of your like small Dragonmaid monsters. But what's nice is that you could pop any card your opponent controls. So it could be like back row, it can be like a field spell, it can be a monster, which is really nice. And then during your turn, you could banish this and then summon like any of your Dark Dragon Link monsters. Their effects are negated, but it's not relevant because you're just gonna link climb into something else. One thing I do want to note is that their effects, you actually can't activate the effects. It's not that their effects are negated, so that is relevant because with cards like LP and Pisty, they have that clause where like you can only summon dragon monsters. So like even if you banish this and bring this back, you're still going to be locked into dragon monsters until you get this off the field, but you just won't be able to like use the effect to summon from the graveyard, for example. But that clause will still be active, so just something to note. So yeah, play Furious Dragon, and it's a big beat stick at 3k. And then for the Link ones, we play one Striker, one LP, one Pisty. Striker only serves one purpose, and that's because it's a Link 1 dragon monster that we play, and it just allows us to get the dragon monsters off the board and you know, be able to like use cards like Ward Legacy Guard Dragon, revive that monster, go into Heretic Seal. And then LP Pisty, everybody knows what these cards do. This allows you to tutor anything from the deck, recur stuff from the graveyard. That's it for our Link, last Link one actually, Almirage. This is really good because with any normal summon, you could just link this away. Ward Legacy Guard Dragon, bring that normal summon back, go into LP. You know, it's really good that it has that. Well, the pointer is nice because it points this way to this zone, and when you summon this card, you always want to summon it to the left side, because if you summon it to the right, the LP play won't work because you don't have another zone to move LP this way. So you want to summon it like to this zone always. So just keep that in mind. Never summon it to this zone if you want to do the LP play. Always summon it to this zone. If you want to do the Pisty play, you could get away with this because you're going to move it here, but most of the time you're going to be summoning LP, so make sure that you summon in the right zone. The most broken Link 2, in my opinion, my favorite Link 2 in the game, my favorite Link probably in the game, just because of how much it does. It's non-targeting removal, it tutors anything out from the deck, it doesn't negate the effect of whatever it tutors out. That's what makes it so busted, that you could still activate the effects. Only downside, it's really not a relevant downside, is that the attack and defense become 0. But again, that's not relevant because all your Dragonmaids have effects on summon. So as soon as they get summoned, you're going to start to get the ball rolling, get that advantage. So you summon Nurse, you're going to revive something. That's what I like, man. If it negated the effects, obviously it would be like way less intimidating, like it wouldn't be it would be way less powerful, but because it doesn't negate the effects of whatever it summons, it makes it just like insane. So Twin Triangle Dragon, I'm really liking this card because it requires 2 level 4 lower dragons, and then when it's Link summoned, you could pay 500 life points and then revive a level 5 or higher dragon monster to a Link pointer it points to, but the effects are negated and it can't attack. But that's not even relevant because any two level 4 lower monsters instantly help you to get into a link 3, and that's why we play this card, because it allows us to get into cards like Unicorn easily or easier, and then it also allows us to get into cards like Access Code Talker much more consistently. And then Crossroads Dragon, this card I don't find myself summoning too often, but it's just a decent card because it takes 2 monsters with different types, so you could actually use like a token and like one of your dragon monsters. So like you could out like the Dino token, and then but mainly you play it because when you do the Almiraj play with LP, so I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with this at this point, but basically like you'll summon the LP World Legacy Guard Dragon, will move this, and then you'll summon a dragon, and then with that dragon you can summon Pisty. Okay, and now if you want to resolve Pisty, you could use these two. So this is a Cybers, this is a dragon, to go into Crossroads. And then when you summon Crossroads, it's pointing this way and Pisty's pointing this way. So now Pisty's live. And then with these 2 cards, you could still go into Hieratic Seal after you've extended. It doesn't come up too often. Unless like you're going for like a specific play. It depends if you want to play conservatively or like you want to play more aggressively. Maybe going second, this would be the better option to, you know, be able to like, you know, keep pushing for game. But like going first, sometimes you don't want to extend that far because even though you could play through Nibiru, sometimes it's just not worth it to play, to extend that far. When like you could just play, like if you have enough in your hand already, sometimes you'll get punished for extending too much. But if you're able to, if you play smart, so for example, here's the thing. So sometimes with this play, you actually can't play through Nibiru because by the time you summoned Pisty and like Crossroads, you're way past your 5th summon, I believe. So it's going to be normal summon, Mirage, that's 2, LP, that's 3, whatever you summon with LP, that's 4, and then Pisty is going to be your 5th summon. At that point, you still don't have Hieratic Seal. And because you don't have Hieratic Seal, if you get Nibiru'd at that point, you can't recover as well as you can, as you would have if you summoned Hieratic Seal much earlier. So that's why this play, it's more of a risk. If you're going all in, okay, yeah, this play is probably what you're going to go for. But if you want to play smart and you want to play like around Nibiru, then you probably won't go for this play unless you need to, unless like you had no other option. But like I don't usually go for that play, just because I like to have card advantage. I like to manage my resources better. And then for the last links, it's 1 Unicorn and then 1 Access Code Talker. Unicorn, it just helps you clear boards, because when you're after like turn 1, so after you've established your board with like Hieratic Seal, Shao, and like Tidying, or just Hieratic Seal and Tidying, you're going to have more than enough resources to be able to go Unicorn, spin a card back, and then go Access Code Talker, clear your opponent's board, and then potentially attack for a game. Because if you have like Lorepar set up, and then you could tag out Parlor into Lorepar. Lorepar is 2,700, and then this will become 5,300 when you gain the attack from targeting Unicorn. So that's exactly 8k. It's very easy, and that's why I love Twin Triangle Dragon. It was because Twin Triangle Dragon is gonna summon like your Darkness Metal, or it's gonna summon like it could summon Ernest, it could summon Parlor, and then once you've summoned that, you could just like climb into Unicorn, and then if you have Tidying in the grave, you could just like banish Tidying, summon back whatever, and then start clearing your opponent's board with Access Code Talker. And like you have the Dark. You're gonna have Hieratic Seal, so that's at least 2 pops. So you're at least gonna have 2 pops. If you did the Almiraj play, you're gonna have 3 pops, because Almiraj is a fire, light, and dark. So you're gonna have 3 pops. But I feel like at minimum, most of the time, you're gonna have 2 pops, which is like more than enough, because you're gonna spin 1 card with Unicorn. That's 1 card, and then 2 more cards with Access Code Talker. So that's 3 cards right there, and then that should be enough, hopefully, to clear your opponent's board and attack for a game. Guys, that is it for the deck profile. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. I appreciate the feedback, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this this version of the deck, because I've honestly been I've done a lot of testing online, and then recently a couple of my friends and we just got together yesterday, and I got more testing done with this deck, and it just performed like very, very well, and it proved how powerful it is when it comes to like grinding and out grinding your opponent. And just, it's so powerful because it can set up like negations, it could set up disruptions, it can OTK, it can grind, which it has so much utility in the extra deck as well as the main deck with cards like Tidying. So guys, I appreciate you watching. I hope you guys have a great day. Peace and take care.